and welcome to Episode 2 of The More You Nole, a podcast about Florida State University. I'm your host, Mike, Director of Social Media for Florida State's Office of Admissions. Before we get into this week's interview, I want to let everybody know that this podcast is now available for subscription on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. You can find subscription links on our website, admissions.fsu.edu/podcast. On this week's episode, I speak with David Peters and Sean Wilkinson with Florida State Campus Recreation. We'll learn about the unique paths they both took from college to career, a lot about the facilities and programs that Campus Rec runs, including opportunities for outdoor adventures, and also how their resources can help students thrive inside the classroom. All right, so I'm here with David Peters and Sean Wilkinson from Florida State Campus Rec. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourselves, who you are, where do you work at Florida State, what do you do?
For sure. So my name's Sean Wilkinson, and I'm here as the Challenge Course coordinator here at FSU. So basically, I get to work out at the res and our beautiful waterfront property here at Florida State, and get to oversee our challenge program, which consists of low and high ropes course. And we have escape rooms out there that we bring teams through and all kinds of other fun stuff, anything climbing related as well. So we have a climbing wall out there, and we do activities such as crate stacking on campus, where we actually will set up ropes at the gym and you stack milk crates on top of each other while climbing the stack at the same time until it eventually collapses. But you're hanging from a rope, so you're all good there.
I'm David Peters. I'm a Senior Associate Director at Campus Recreation and have been here for quite a while, working through our intramural sports and sport clubs area over into the fitness side of recreation. And I work alongside Sean and our outdoors team. So glad to have all of those different components being part of Campus Rec and in my journey here at Florida State.
Cool. Did either of you attend Florida State? So you don't have to reveal your graduation year if you don't want to. But what was it like here when you were a student?
I arrived here in the 90s and was able to take advantage of a lot of the Campus Rec programming that we still have today. There's a lot of tradition behind what we're doing here in Campus Rec. And so whether that's the fitness center, whether it's the res that has been here for decades, a lot of things are the same, but a lot of things have changed as well as we've tried to evolve with the students who are coming in today, because it's not the 90s anymore for sure, but it's still a Campus Rec is a fun place to be. It's an exciting part of the student experience, and that's certainly why I'm still here as part of the department.
Let's see. So I was doing a little research. I understand that both of you kind of had interesting routes to get into Campus Rec. From what I read, David, you went to school for meteorology, and then Sean, you were cutting trail for 2 years for a nonprofit. So how'd you guys find your way into Campus Rec?
Yeah, that's right, Mike. I came to Florida State to be a student and study meteorology. I knew what I wanted to do, and FSU is a great school for meteorology, and was excited to get my degree. But while I was here, I was a student employee in Campus Recreation and worked in intramural sports as a sports official, and continued on here after my graduation with an undergrad degree to go and pick up a master's in sport administration here at FSU and worked more with Campus Rec. So my journey has been through coming to school, kind of finding what I loved when I got here was meteorology, but then changing my way like many of our students do and finding a new passion, and that has been Campus Recreation ever since.
And yeah, so my route was kind of roundabout. So I went to undergrad at Florida Gulf Coast University, and similar to David, I was a student employee with Campus Rec. I started out as a waterfront lifeguard and then became one of our trip leaders there and realized how much I loved Campus Rec. Realistically, that was how I met the vast majority of my friends in undergrad and kind of the crew that I hung out with. And then after graduating, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I was studying environmental studies and specializing in herpetology, the study of reptiles and amphibians. And so like every outdoor person that doesn't know what they want to do with life, I went to Colorado and became a raft guide. So having never been on whitewater before, that was a interesting learning curve, and did a summer raft guiding season out there. And then it started getting cold. And originally being from Florida, I don't do that. So I ended up coming down to the Everglades for the winter season and actually ran eco tours out of the Everglades International Hostel. So I got to work at a hostel and take people on kind of environmental ecotourism through Everglades National Park, seeing all the alligators, the birds, all that fun stuff. And then after that, I realized I kind of missed school, to be honest, and found out that you can get a graduate assistantship and get someone to pay for your master's degree. So I ended up getting a graduate assistantship at Valdosta State University, a little bit just up the road, and basically helped run their outdoor program for 2 years and learned a lot about challenge courses and climbing wall to go along with trips. And then afterwards, I got my master's in higher education, but I wasn't quite ready to maybe stay in higher ed. So that's when I then went and joined the nonprofit world for a couple of years, where it was the Student Conservation Association. And I got to take crews of high school and college age students out into the backcountry, and we would cut trails and live out of tents. And it was a good old time. But after finishing that up, I realized I really missed working with college students, to be honest, and became a coordinator for Vanderbilt University's outdoor rec department. And I was up there in Nashville for about 3 years, and then finally a position opened up here at Florida State, and here I am.
All right, that's quite the journey. Wow. All right, so I understand that Campus Rec you guys have like 3 main focal areas. You've got like fitness stuff, sports stuff, and outdoors. Can you just give us a brief overview of each?
Well, sure. I think it's important here in Campus Rec. Our tagline is "Find what moves you," and so we know that our students at FSU and everywhere have so many different interests when it comes to recreation. So, Mike, as you were saying, it's important for us to have a whole bunch of different options. I'll start on the sports side. Before I came through, certainly when I got to Florida State, I was a sports nut, so you would have found me not only playing intramurals but working in that area. But we have a number of different recreational leagues for students who are competitive. So if you have talent from high school and you can't wait to continue to play your sport, you can play in one of our very competitive intramural leagues, which are just teams of FSU students playing other teams of FSU students in the sports they like flag football or basketball or soccer or stranger sports too. But you don't have to have talent, we like to say, because people also just want to have fun with sports. And so we have a number of other less competitive leagues that students join with their friends and come out and play those sports and others. We have kickball, we've got dodgeball, we've got some classics. So it can really be a good time playing sports through intramural sports here at FSU and Campus Rec. A little higher on the sports side is our sport clubs who travel and compete regionally. So it's not the varsity team. Certainly we've got some great Seminole athletic teams here, but we have students who really want to continue their passion and participate against other schools. And so they do that at the club level. That's another exciting opportunity. So there are a lot of different ways to be engaged in sports here at FSU. But Sean's one who, as you've already heard, great with the outdoors, and there's so much going on with our wonderful waterfront property too.
For sure. I would say our outdoor side of the house consists of our trip side, which is phenomenal. That's we call it our outdoor pursuits, or OP here. And our OP trips, they go everywhere, from regional ones here in Florida, day trips that go kayaking. They'll do snorkeling trips to a place called Devil's Den around here, which is super cool. It's like a big giant hole in the ground with I would say crystal clear, but it's also got like a blue turquoise tint to it, and you just snorkel around there for the day. We also have overnight trips. So those ones they will also do here regionally, but they will also travel. Some of our favorite ones are up into the Smoky Mountains. They'll do some backpacking on the Appalachian Trail and kind of go all over the southeast region of the United States. Following that one, we have our challenge program. And that's kind of our team building program that we have here at FSU. We're lucky enough to have a super, super cool double-decker high challenge course where we take crews 8 at a time, and you're all clipped in up there with your buddies, and you're doing these crazy obstacles at 40 feet up in the air. Super neat. We also have escape rooms that we'll send people through. And it's very good for, especially like student organizations and Greek life organizations, to give them a chance to really kind of connect with their colleagues, their group members, and figure out what leadership qualities all of them have. Because believe it or not, even the people that are the quietest out there and don't really know if they're ready to step up, they'll do something and it will shine right through, and it'll just be that aha moment that I feel like we always are looking for. And it happens on the course all the time. Along with those two is our waterfront facility, the Res. And it's a series of 3 lakes that we have a huge beachfront on. So students can come out there and lay in some chairs and catch some sun. They can go paddling out on the lake. We have stand-up paddle boards, canoes, kayaks, as well as disc golf, volleyball courts. It's just a really cool spot to come hang out at. And like Dave was saying earlier, we're actually about to hit our 100-year anniversary, which is a pretty amazing feat. And all of that is free for students out at the Res, which is very, very neat. And then coupled with that, our last piece of it is our Aquatics Team. So our Aquatics Team operates both at our Leach Center. We have a big pool there. And then they also are lifeguarding out at the Res, at that waterfront facility. So not only can people go out there and swim in the lake and stuff, we have lifeguards to make sure that they're being safe and take care of them. Our aquatics team also oversees a lot of our really cool certification programs that students can take advantage of. We'll certify people to be lifeguards, to do first aid, water safety instructors, a ton of the offerings that the American Red Cross Association will do.
Cool. Okay, so we just talked about the Res, FSU's lakefront property, which is, I think it's just about a mile or maybe 2 miles south of campus. But I know you guys have some other facilities as well. Can you go over them for us and for all of our new students?
You're right, Mike. The Res is certainly a gem. It's a hidden gem. We hope students find it. It's a great place to go to. But there are many others right on the main campus. Our Dr. Bobby E. Leach Student Recreation Center is a great place, kind of our home for fitness on campus. The opportunity to go in and get a workout in, whether that is to come and use the cardio or strength equipment or lift in our Olympic lifting area or just non-Olympic lifting weights to do some functional training. We have an indoor track. Sean mentioned our indoor pool, but not only that, we've got whirlpool spas and a sauna and a steam room. All of that is at no additional charge to students. It is something that comes with your fees paid with tuition, and so students have unlimited access to our fitness center, the Leach Center on campus. As long as we're open, come on in with your ID and you can get a workout in or enjoy just sitting. We have people who just enjoy the Leach Center itself and sit and study in there as well, just like they could study at the Res or study also and get a workout in at our fitness and movement clinic. So our secondary fitness facility on campus is the FMC, as we call it, or Fitness and Movement Clinic. It's located with our partners in the Health and Wellness Center. So it's a great collaboration. It is a workout space, a very small space, but something that's kind of intimate, for example, not as many people in there, but we team up with our physical therapy and athletic training programs in that space too. So it's a good collaboration on our campus and another opportunity to maybe work out in a space that has some different hours for fitness. So a lot of fitness opportunities on the main campus. On the sports side, we have some campus facilities. We also have some that are just a short distance away. The main campus fields, 4 fields that are right adjacent to our football stadium, are always busy with pickup games, soccer and frisbee. Quidditch happens out there as well. So a lot going on at our main campus fields. A nice, easy walk for many of our on-campus residents right down to those fields. We also have the West Side courts on campus, which are basketball courts. We have beach volleyball or sand volleyball there, along with an outdoor fitness court. So some outdoor opportunities that are situated in between some of our residence halls on the west side of campus. And then our award-winning rec sportsplex, almost 100 acres. It is a fourth of the size of the main campus, but it's about a 7-minute drive away on the southwest campus, as we would call it here, but an extension of the Florida State campus in Tallahassee. But with 16, 20 fields, 5 more softball fields. It is massive, and it's a great place for our intramural programs, along with our sport clubs who host a number of events there. So it's just a beautiful space. We're real proud of that, that opened in 2007. But you combine that with the Res, which is great, and some tennis courts on campus. There's a lot of places to find recreation at FSU.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how much stuff you guys have considering how small our campus is overall. Let's see. So we've gone over all of your facilities. I know you were talking about the Leach. It's our huge fitness facility. I remember when I was an undergrad at Florida State walking into the Leach for the first time. It can be kind of overwhelming at first. So what are some of the ways that Campus Rec helps make that facility more approachable, especially for students who maybe have less fitness experience?
Well, Mike, and like me too, I was a sports nut, so you never would have found me in the gym as a student. But one of the things we've really tried to do is make entry-level experiences or just intro experiences for all the programs that we do, fitness, sports, and outdoors. And I know Sean will touch on some that we do with our folks who are not as outdoorsy. But in the fitness center, we offer a number of different programs. We have fitness coaches who are students who are trained to help students who are not other students who are just not familiar with how to work out. It's not something they came through school doing, with maybe getting familiar with the equipment or setting up a plan of how they can work out. That is a free service from Campus Rec, because we know it can be daunting when you walk into a facility like the Leach Center and just don't understand where to start or how to get a good workout in. So our fitness coaches and our fitness team is great for that. We offer a number of group fitness classes. So you can just come and do some yoga or Pilates or kickboxing or indoor cycling. Again, no additional charge. Those are free for our students when they come in. And that's another way maybe to try something out where you have an instructor at the front of the class leading you through that sort of workout. And we've got some great team training, high intensity workout classes too. So they run from beginner classes to advanced. But those are a number of other ways that we want students to feel more comfortable. And people can come always in and get a tour, for example, of any facility, so we can try to help people out, because we understand, Mike, just like you were saying, it can be daunting to start a new experience, whether it's in the big Leach Center or, Sean, I would agree, even out at the res. We want to make sure that people are welcome when they jump in a kayak for the first time, for example.
For sure. I would actually, I want to just echo what Dave was talking about with me personally. I was never a gym person, air quotes. It was always, it just make me very nervous, and it wasn't my vibe. But I think the group fitness classes were one of like the big things that got me into the building. And I thoroughly enjoyed, since I really didn't know what I was doing, having an instructor up there kind of telling me, do this move, then this move, then this move, and then there to help me out as well. Similar to I think a lot of our student staff that meet each other and become very good friends, you become friends with the people that take those group fitness classes consistently. So you'll see the same faces, and it becomes more and more relaxing. And then you might meet people who go and work out on their own, and you start joining them. So I would say those group fitness classes are a phenomenal way for people to get introduced to the gym if they may be a little intimidated at first.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to shift topics a bit now. How can engaging with Campus Rec help students inside the classroom?
I think the classroom can become a stressful place, which that happens everywhere when you're nervous about a grade or you have a test coming up. And I think one of the best things that Campus Rec has to offer is a place for students to de-stress. There's been so many studies that have shown that lower stress levels let you do better in school. And when you're out there running on the treadmill or you're out there paddling with a buddy, that's the easy part for us. Your stress levels just start to go away. You kind of get lost in that moment, and you don't worry about the test that's coming up next week. And having that little minute to relax and kind of recharge is a huge way that I think Campus Rec helps students out.
I agree, Sean. Campus Rec certainly contributes greatly to overall wellness. We often think about physical wellness and, working out and those sorts of pieces when you think about recreation. But you're right. It's mental wellness. It's contributing not just to those pieces, but to developmental skills. When you come out and play intramural sports and you're on that team, you're working on teamwork. You're working on to work with people. You're working on conflict resolution or in situations where you have to deal with certain things that are different maybe than what you're seeing in the classroom. So it's those out of classroom experiences. Many of us reflect on that maybe from our high school days. We had great activities when we were in high school outside of just going to our classes. It's much the same here at Florida State. We're just trying to bring it to the next level and encourage our students to try some new things and gain those skills. And so you're right. Stress relief, sure. Getting some physical activity in and establishing a healthy lifestyle are important to us, but so many other things are learned through Campus Rec.
I think that's something we touched on in our first episode as well, and I think it's something we're probably going to touch on in a lot of future episodes, is that college is about so much more than what you learn in the classroom. It's this full experience that hits you from every angle. You're not just, learning about math and science. You're learning about yourself. You're learning about society. You're really learning about everything. And there's not really a moment when you're not learning. Even when you're just like hanging out on the couch with your friends watching TV, you're probably developing some kind of like interpersonal skill. So my next question, I'm sure we have a couple students out there who are like you guys who are going to get to Florida State, they're going to start participating in Campus Rec, and they're going to fall completely in love with it. So I'm wondering how they can get even more involved with Campus Rec beyond maybe just using the facilities, participating in IM sports. What are some other ways that students can get really deeply involved in Campus Rec?
Well, I think you fall into a number of different communities when you're here at Florida State, and we're glad to have a good student community in many different ways through recreation. Some of that's just through being a very active participant. We've got some great communities within our sport club programs, for example, people who play lacrosse or rugby or ultimate frisbee day in and day out, and they really get a great community that they connect with our university on, or they find those leadership opportunities. We have a number of people who connect, just like Sean and I have in our time in college, through employment through Campus Rec. We're the largest employer of students at FSU. We have over 700 on our roles every year doing a number of different tasks, from sports officials to customer service representatives to those fitness coaches to lifeguards. And Sean, you know about your experience. We have so many people who work at the res, for example. They're so unique.
For sure. I think working for Campus Rec is probably one of the best things that I did as an undergrad. And I think we put a lot of effort and a lot of effort behind really developing our student staff. I will say when I first got to college, I didn't join up with Campus Recreation quickly. It took about a year or so. And at that point, I didn't necessarily have that group of friends for that entire first year. And then once I was like, you know what, I'm going to apply for this position, and did it. And I'm so thankful I did, because that was, like I said, that's where I found my niche of people. And I see it with our students here all the time. We'll get new first years coming in, and it's almost like that weight just comes off their shoulders where we're like, this is a lot of fun. I actually really like what I'm doing. And you become friends with your coworkers, but you become like a Campus Rec family almost. And like you were saying earlier, working on campus, college is so much more than just a classroom. I think even if someone hasn't ever had a job before, man, what a good first job working for Campus Rec, because we realize that the students are students first. So I like to tell everyone that we're very good about understanding when finals weeks are coming and you might not be able to pick up as many hours, or helping make the schedule around when your classes are. The fact that, you're working on campus, you don't really need to travel for it. Even if you're out at the res or the rec sportsplex, it's just a hop and a skip away. And if you don't have a car, well, you have a bunch of people that you can carpool with. A lot of our students will carpool out there because they're like, well, I don't have a car, but we're on the same shift. Mind give me a ride. So I think student development is clutch when it comes to Campus Rec. And we do a lot of work to do student leadership conferences for our staff members, where we will actually take them or we will design a conference for them so they get that first conference experience. Along with, we do a lot of work to get our students to travel to other conferences. We bring them to national conferences. We'll go to regional ones, and they get to interact with other students in Campus Rec, whether they're planning on doing that afterwards or not. They're very transferable skills that they're learning. And we really pride ourselves on that student development.
That's awesome. All right, this one's probably a short answer, but can you guys give our listeners a pro tip? I know the Leach can get kind of crowded sometimes, so what's the best time to go?
The pro tip for the Leach Center is to come before the afternoon rush. I think everybody comes after classes, so scheduling some time in the morning or in the early afternoon is a pro tip to get into the fitness center. But if you want to see people, by all means, come in the late afternoon, early evening. It's certainly busy, and that could be another way to meet up with your friends and find community. So different times of day for different folks, for sure, at the Leach.
If the Leach Center is extremely busy, the Fitness and Movement Clinic, the FMC, is probably, like 250 steps away from the Leach Center, and it's usually always less busy.
Yeah, I remember I used to have a faculty staff membership to the Leach, and I would go at like 6 a.m, and it was just me and like a couple gym rat students, and then like a couple professors who were playing like wall ball or something like that before they had to like get to work and go start teaching classes.
You have to be dedicated to be up at 6 a.m. to work out at Leach.
Now I just go for a jog in the morning. Okay, let's see. I have another outdoors question. This one is not really directly campus rec related, but as we all know, and all of our students are sure to find out when they get here, Tallahassee is loaded with outdoor activities. This place has so much to do outside. So I think this is probably a question for Sean. What are some of the best things to do around town, like outdoor kind of stuff?
For sure. Up here in Tallahassee, a lot of people think, it's Florida. Florida is all flat, right? Well, actually, no. Tallahassee has some hills. I have a feeling a lot of our incoming students from South Florida will be a little surprised at how much ups and downs there are, and because of that, it makes a lot of our hiking here very cool. We are right next to the Appalachian National Forest that has tons of hiking trails all through it. So I would say the hiking is phenomenal in Tallahassee, but my personal favorite is the paddling. We're pretty dang close to the ocean. So you can get on the road and you can be there in probably about less than an hour to Alligator Point, which I think is one of our closest spots. You can be up at St. George Island, a little bit more than that, which I would recommend. Much better beach. That's one of my favorites. But you can get a kayak and go paddling in rivers and stuff all around here. We have the Ockalochnee, which is right in our backyard, and you'll switch up from going through sections where you have these huge bluffs on the side of you with these big pine trees shading the top of it. And then it'll kind of get nice and tight and you'll be going through a cypress swamp. It changes so fast. But if you're like, well, dang, I don't have a kayak. I can't drive way out there to do it. Well, the res is actually extremely gorgeous to go paddling in. So especially the fact that you don't need to transport a boat anywhere. You just show up there. We've got whatever vessel you want, and you can go and paddle along our series of 3 lakes back there, right along the Science Museum, which is kind of cool because they actually have a bear and a panther, and their enclosures actually butt right up to the water. So you'll be paddling past it. You'll look to your right and be like, there's a panther looking at me right now.
That's really cool. Yeah, the Tallahassee Museum, for all of our listeners, it's located right near there on Lake Bradford. It's kind of like a bit of a history museum crossed with a zoo. It's got a lot of live animal exhibits and some like local history. It's a really cool place to check out. All right, so now I've got some quickfire questions for you guys. The first thing I want to know is, what's your favorite local restaurant, like your favorite stuff to eat around town?
I would say one of my favorites is Andrew's downtown. And it's right in the heart of our downtown area, and it's got a big outdoor seating section, which is one of my favorite things. And they have phenomenal, just all kinds of different foods. But if you're kind of going there just to like hang out, you have big tables so you can get like a large group together and just order a bunch of their appetizers, which I've never had a bad one there. So yeah, Andrew's downtown is definitely one of my favorites.
I'm always looking for a quick bite to eat at lunch that might be close to campus that I can either walk or make a quick trip to. So grabbing a slice of pizza at Gain Street Pies, or grabbing a taco or a burrito at Burrito Border, or some local restaurants that are in the area. I think we've got some great quick eats for students. We've got some nice places to go for a special evening here in Tallahassee. There's a good food culture.
Yeah, the food over in this city has really stepped it up over the last 10 years. There's so much good food here now. Okay, well, next one. What's your favorite thing about Florida State?
I think I enjoy the proximity of Florida State to places. I think I'm originally from South Florida, so the fact that I can get home fairly easy, like, don't get me wrong, Florida's pretty dang long, and it still takes about 8 hours to get home. That is very cool. But closer to Florida State, the ocean is right in our backyard. Like I was saying earlier, we have paddling and hiking opportunities everywhere. You can jump on the highway and you can run down to New Orleans to go visit in not too much time. You can go up to Atlanta in less than 5 hours, and then Jacksonville's straight across the state, another 2. So I think the proximity of Florida State to a lot of things is a cool attribute that we have here.
It'll never not be weird to me that we're closer to New Orleans than we are to Miami, even though we're in Florida.
Mike, you mentioned it earlier. For me, our campus is so pretty. I think that the trees and the experience of just being on our campus is really nice, but it also feels very homey. We're not a large campus. You said it. And because of that, I think you run into people, you run into fellow students and friends when you're walking in between classes. It's a great place to just have that kind of community, but kind of a homey feel. And so it really has a very good FSU vibe to it. And that's what keeps me here is I get to see a lot of people and see the excitement and energy behind a lot of our college activities and experiences every day, because you can't miss them on our smaller but very close-knit campus.
I think a lot of students are surprised when they come here for the first time and they see how small it is, because they think of a large public institution. Most of those are land grant schools where they got their land from the government, and it's a huge amount of land, so they just really spread everything out. But we didn't come up that way. We came up as a small women's liberal arts college, so our campus, we never got this huge plot of land to put it on. We just had to kind of keep cramming stuff in and building stuff upwards, and so it's really tight-knit. For 40,000 students, you'd be amazed at how small the campus is. You can walk from corner to corner in 15 minutes, maybe 20 if you walk a little slower, but you can't say that for a lot of state schools. All right, let's see. My next one, this is quarantine related. What are you guys binging right now?
So I will say I've watched the series already once, so it's actually the second time I'm rewatching it all. But The Great British Bake Off, I'm obsessed with that show.
Love it.
Love cooking. I'm awful at baking, though. And just to watch some of the stuff that they make, and they are all the nicest people ever. It's not like other cooking shows where people are like cutthroat and being mean. Like it's these little adorable lady is just like, can I help you with that? Because you're about to cry because you just dropped all of your muffins. And they're like, yes, please. It's just so great.
It's the most cooperative competition show I've ever seen.
It really is.
I feel like I'm watching my screen all day during this time, so I'm binging on audio podcasts right now. So between 99% Invisible, 20,000 Hertz, some things I learned some cool stuff about design and audio, and I like to learn. And so I'm trying to find those to binge on, but they've been fun during this time.
Awesome. All right, so my last quick fire. This one is campus rec related. What is your favorite IM sport if you could only pick one?
I said we had some weird sports earlier. Mine is volleyball, which is volleyball inside a racquetball court. You're sticking up a net in the middle, and it's 3-on-3 or 4-on-4, but those balls keep the ball in. So you don't even have very much talent. It's a lot of angles. I've got my championship T-shirt from over the years. It's one of my favorites.
Dang, volleyball's a good one. That was going to be my now to think. Oh, actually... No, I'm glad you said volleyball, Dave, because I'm going to say mine is actually Canoe Battleship.
Yes.
So Canoe Battleship basically consists of a bunch of canoes in our swimming pool, and it's you and three of your buddies with buckets and kickboards and sitting in that boat and then basically trying to take water and throw it into everyone else's boat until the other person's canoe completely sinks with them in it, and then you are the last remaining boat floating around in the pool.
That's awesome. Yeah, Battleship is crazy fun. Okay, and then my last question, this is the last question I ask of all my guests. If you could only give one piece of advice to an incoming student at Florida State, what would it be?
I would say to keep in mind that academics and classes are extremely important. That's why you're here. But there's so much more to it, and trying to push your uncomfortable button and try new things is such a key part of it, and being okay with failing at some things. I think a lot of times people are so afraid to fail, that not only in college but in life, that it keeps them from trying these new things and going out on a limb. And I think that's honestly when you learn the most, is when you fail and you think about like, okay, why did that happen? How can I fix that for the future? And then being okay with small failures happening and not completely break down. So getting involved, trying new things, and being okay with occasionally failing at things.
I'm going to agree with Sean on this one. I think it's just getting out there and exploring. Florida State offers so many opportunities for students, most of them at no additional charge. I can just call that free, but something that's already part of tuition and fees. And so whether that's recreation with just so many things to try, and whether you like fitness and you try and you don't, that's all right. At least you gave it a shot. outside of recreation, there are entertainment options on campus and organizations to join and leadership classes to take and all kinds of things. So, yeah, I would say coming to Florida State knowing that there are opportunities to take advantage of outside of the classroom is very important. Don't overdo it, because you have to certainly make sure that you're keeping those academics strong. But know that you don't want to also miss some of these great opportunities during your time here at FSU.
Well, I've been so glad to have you guys here. Once again, David Peters and Sean Wilkinson from Florida State Campus Rec. Thanks so much for being here, and go Noles.
Thanks, Mike.
Go Noles.
Thanks again to David and Sean for taking some time out of their days to speak with us. If you'd like to learn more about Campus Rec, check out campusrec.fsu.edu. You can also find them on social media at FSU Campus Rec on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We'd also love to hear from you. If you have any questions you'd like answered or feedback on the show, please email admissions@fsu.edu and include the word podcast in the subject line. You can also reach us on social media. We're at FSU Admissions on Twitter and Facebook, and at FSU.admissions on Instagram. Our theme music is the world-renowned Florida State University Marching Chiefs. Audio tracks donated by Mark Records, Clarence, New York, markcustom.com. If you enjoyed this episode and think your friends might too, we'd love for you to tell them about it. And don't forget to subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice. Thanks again for listening, and go Noles.